Hey guys, welcome to Tea Talk Tuesday. All right, so today I want to focus on the herb Stevia. Now, I know what most of you are thinking. It's not an herb, it's sugar, right? Because that's what we've been taught over the past couple of years, is that stevia is a sweetener, it's a sugar, which indeed it is. But stevia in its original form, it's actually an herb. It's a plant that is native to Paraguay and South America. So the herb itself is actually a non-caloric herb, and because it's known to be such a sweet herb, like if you were to put it in your mouth and chew it, it's going to be extremely sweet, almost have the taste of licorice. And because of that, it has become super popular as a sweetener and a flavor enhancer. But truth is, stevia has been used for centuries around the globe as a sweetener. But in the United States, from 1991 to 2008, stevia was banned. And I'm not going to get into the history of that, but if you Google it, you'll find all kinds of information about it. But it was banned. But in 2008, they lifted the ban and the US FDA approved it. So here we are in an era where people are trying to eat healthier, reduce the amount of sugar in their diets, right? And so stevia has really come into play here because it is such a low calorie or non-caloric sweetener, right? And it has a super sweet taste. And the quantity needed of stevia is so small, right? You can use the smallest amount of stevia to sweeten something. And that has people like, whoo, I really want to use stevia in my product because I can add all that sweetness without all the extra junk, without the extra calories and all of that. So you'll find that stevia is being used more and more and more these days to give products that extra sweet flavor. Studies have been done, research has been done, and they find stevia to be a pretty safe alternative to your everyday table sugars and some of the other sweeteners that are out there. Now, as is the case with everything in our food supply system, we have to be mindful of the forms of stevia that we're using or the forms of stevia in the products that we're consuming. Because like anything, not everything is the same. Not all stevia is the same. These food manufacturers and these companies do a really good job of latching onto something small, and then they twist it and turn it in many different ways so that they can call their product naturally sweetened with stevia, right? But when you actually read the label on it, then all of a sudden you're seeing all of these extra sugar alcohols that were added, or maltodextrin or dextrose, or all these other additives, right? So you have to be careful. You don't always want to go by what the front of the package says. As I always tell my nutrition clients, always read the ingredients. We're going to talk about that more in just a second, but let's first break down the different types of stevia, okay? Because you can have stevia in its most natural state, or you can have refined stevia. And stevia in its most natural state is the stevia leaf, right? It's the actual stevia leaf coming off the plant. And like I said before, if you took it off and chewed it, it would almost taste like licorice. But in order for those fresh leaves to be used as a sweetener in products, most people will actually dry it out using an extraction process. Now, actually, when you extract it and you dry it out, it actually makes it even sweeter. And that's what's so attractive about it, because again, you can use just the really teeny tiny amount of it to make something taste super sweet. So that's the actual stevia leaf. But like I said, a lot of companies and manufacturers, they actually dry those leaves out to release more of the sweet flavor from the leaf. So these are the dried stevia leaves. And essentially what you do is you dry them up and then you crush them. And this is the form that's most often used in like herbal teas. Dried leaves can also be found in powdered form where they've been ground down into like a really fine powder. But again, it's going to be a green fine powder, not a white fine powder. Because a white fine powder is actually a form of a stevia extract, which we're going to talk about next. So the first two types, you have your fresh stevia leaves, and then you have your dried stevia leaves. And then you're going to have stevia extracts. So you can have just a natural stevia extract, or you can have a powdered stevia extract, which oftentimes looks like a white powder. or you can have a liquid extract. So in our commercialized food industry, most oftentimes what you're going to see is the white powdered extract, right? It's going to come in the little forms of packets that you can buy in the stores. There's going to be off brands in stores, and I can't remember off the top of my head what the one is called in Aldi, but they have an off brand in Aldi of stevia. But again, when you read the ingredients, they've added some sugar alcohol to it. So it's not really pure stevia extract, right? But what happens with the stevia extract? Now, the white powdered form of stevia extract is super duper popular in Japan. Again, they found a way to make it and make it affordably and use it to sweeten products, and it just blew up. And in that form, in that white powdered extract form, it's like 200 to 300 times sweeter than sugar if you go by weight. Now, to make that powdered extract, what they do is they extract those sweet glycosides or steviosides, which are the compound in the stevia leaf itself that give it that really sweet taste. They place them in hot water, and then they pass that through a resin material to trap those steviosides or those glycosides. And then what they do is they rinse that resin with alcohol to release those glycosides, right? And that's how they extract that specific sweet compound out of the stevia leaf itself. And then that's going to undergo a crystallization process that results in the purified glycosides, or the powdered stevia as the end product, right? Now, when you're using, again, these liquid or these powdered forms of stevia, and you're buying it from the store, you have to be careful. You have to look at the ingredients to see, is this refined stevia or is it pure stevia? Is the only ingredient on the label stevia? Or is it stevia and erythritol and maltodextrin, which again are all additives that have been added to it to make it something different, to make it a refined product at that point. Now, oftentimes, like I said, you'll find that they add maltodextrin, dextrose, or erythritol. Erythritol is actually a sugar alcohol, you guys, and it's been deemed by many as a safe alternative, a safe sweetener alternative. However, if you consume erythritol in really large quantities, it can cause digestive issues. Any kind of sugar alcohol can wreak havoc on your digestive system because it's not absorbed by our bodies. So if we consume it in excess, it's just going to kind of float around in there. Now, naturally, it should be excreted via our urine, but if we consume too much of it, it's just going to like float around in our bodies and cause bloating and gas issues and digestive upset and all of these other things. So sometimes when somebody sees a product that has stevia in it, they think it's the stevia that's causing it, but a lot of the times there's some sort of additive or sugar alcohol that's in that product as well, and that's what's really wreaking havoc in most cases. So you really want to find stevia that's pure stevia, right? It has to be stevia in its most natural state, which is going to be like the dried stevia leaf or stevia extract with no additives in it whatsoever. Now, Sipology, which is why we're talking about this today, uses stevia to naturally sweeten some of their teas. And as you start to peruse through the spring and summer products that they've launched, you're gonna find stevia, especially in their naturally sweet tea lines, right? And that's why I wanted to talk to you about it, because like I said, sometimes people get really nervous about that. And then they're gonna look at the label and say, oh my gosh, there's all these added sugars, right? But actually, this is the new naturally sweet peach tea. And when I look at it, right, the ingredients are black tea, stevia leaf, peach pieces, calendula petals, and natural flavors. Total sugars is 0. Again, why is that? Because they're using the natural stevia leaf, and you need just a teeny tiny amount to give it that sweet taste. And believe me when I tell you, their naturally sweet teas are sweet. So it's an awesome way to include a natural sweetener and not add the extra calories or the extra sugar to it. So you can enjoy their naturally sweet teas with no guilt. It's not like buying a jug of Arizona iced tea with 23 grams of sugar per serving, right? So you'll find the sweet peach or the naturally sweet teas have the stevia leaf in them. And then in some of their other products, they're going to use organic stevia extract. Again, it's natural. There's nothing's been added to it. And you'll find those, especially in their sweet matcha lines. And now even this on the label, right? The nutrition facts, the sugars, it's only 1 gram of sugar, but that's not even coming from the stevia extract, because in some of their products, they also use organic cane sugar. And I'm actually not going to talk about organic cane sugar today. I'm going to save that for another video, because organic cane sugar is also a sweetener, but there's a lot of research and history to that as well. So you'll find both. But in most cases, when you're finding just the stevia leaf or the stevia extract in something, there's not going to be any sugar in it. They also use the organic stevia extract in their new vitamin boost. So the vitamin D, the vitamin C, and the iron boost. And again, that's to give it some of that sweet flavor. Like this is caramel mocha. One of them is the raspberry lemonade. But again, it's sweetening it without all the extra sugar and calories added. Now, that's why I love Sipology, right? Because they always choose, you guys, the absolute best ingredients they can, without the added junk, without the added stuff in it that we don't need. And that's really what sets them apart. And they use organic when they can, right? So they use organic cane sugar. It's a big difference from like regular sugar. So that's what I love about Sipology. Now, as you're browsing through any of the new stuff that you see in the catalog or online or anything at all, if you have questions about it or what's being used in it, do not hesitate to reach out and ask me. But again, that's just a quick 101 on stevia and what you should be looking for if you're actually going to buy it, you know, from the store. Be very careful with some other sweeteners that are out there, things like Truvia and all of those, because they oftentimes have those additives in there in addition to the stevia. And because of the lack of monitoring, I guess, on advertising and marketing practices, if they've got stevia plus erythritol plus maltodextrin, they can simply say sweetened with stevia, and people are like, oh, it's stevia, it's good, right? But it's not. So again, read your labels. All right. Happy Tuesday.